Imagine a utopian world. A world in which there are flying cars, luscious trees, chirping birds, and smiling faces. A world that is based on a system that can benefit everyone. It feels like a distant concept, doesn't it? The kind that you can only see in movies and books. An impossible and bleak reality. Now imagine a dystopian world. A world on fire. Factories everywhere. Dead animals. Disease plaguing the streets. Depressed expressions plastered on people's faces. Now this concept sounds much more familiar. It even feels like home. If I were to ask which of these two scenarios you would like to represent your future, all of you would say the bright and sunny world. Of course, I don't mean to be accusatory, but you would only be lying to yourselves. If you do online shopping, which surprisingly has a vast carbon footprint, you contribute to global warming, thus making a choice towards the second scenario. However, such an issue is neither just your fault, nor can it be solved by just your effort. So how will the future be? Let's take a look at 2020. The whole continent of Australia on fire. The temperature, the highest it has ever been recorded. War and riots on every single corner. The Earth's crust shaking, planes crashing. And do I even need to mention the coronavirus? It seems as though our fate is already as clear as day. We are doomed. So how have we managed to make Earth a living hell? We have denied change. We have been denying the obvious fact that things have to change. And this rejection of change has caused chaos. Change is not only natural to life, but it is the very thing that constitutes it. An iconic Turkish poet, Orhan Veli, said, "What is the point of having lived at all if I'm going to be saying the same things 5 years from now?" He knew that a life lived without change was no life lived. Just imagine, you would always be the same age, do the same things every day, endure the same weather, and never grow as a person. The famous philosopher Karl Marx explains this wonderfully with dialectics. Marx theorized that everything forms along with its opposing counterpart. So, in order to have a thesis, there must be an antithesis. These two together is synthesis. And for a synthesis to exist, it must also have an antithesis. You see the vicious cycle. But what has any of this philosophical nonsense got to do with the apocalypse? Let's take the example of climate change. For the last 30 years, scientists have been shouting at the top of their lungs, climate change is real. Please do something about it. And instead of acknowledging the threat to its existence, humanity has been doing everything it can to worsen the situation. We can apply the dialectic method here. Say fossil fuels. The thesis was to generate more energy for a lower price, and the antithesis pollution and global warming. So the synthesis became an advancing but warming globe. In order for life to continue on its usual course, an antithesis must be formed to this synthesis. But as humanity, we are rejecting the formation of the antithesis, which would be reduced fossil fuel use, and obstructing the intrinsic path of life. In reality, only the 1% with money and power actually benefit from the thesis of global warming and demand for no antithesis to form and for no change to occur. The remaining 99%, you and I, are at a disadvantage and require the formation of the antithesis. But we must form it ourselves. Step 1, facing things. Here is where James Baldwin's quintessential quote comes into play. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed without being faced. We have already established that since change is a constant and necessary part of life, nothing is unchangeable. Nevertheless, humans' disregard of change and our unwillingness to confront it can cause the sequence of life to be hindered. The course of nature, though, can only tolerate so much denial. Right now, nature has taken the reins and it's instigating change without consideration of the consequences for humanity. This brings us to step 2, choosing. I am asking you now to make a choice for the first world, the utopia, to face the fact that change is here, whether we like it or not. We are not indeed superior to nature, but must adapt to it. Nature will always persevere, but it is up to us whether we will be a part of it in the next dialectic loop. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. Just 5 seconds to 5. So very well done. So